Hi everyone, Spirit Simon here. So for 18 months or so, we've been waiting for the decision on the appeal for DV2020 and DV2021. To recap very briefly, we had received several positive judgments in those cases for 2020 and 2021, where the judges kept open a number of visas for issuance beyond the end of the year. And we felt very strongly, I think I felt very strongly that although the period of time we've had to wait for an appeal decision on this has been a long time, the fact that they were taking a long time seemed like a positive thing, because it meant that they were wrestling with difficult legal arguments that that were made, and that they had some sort of difficulty in making a firm, easy decision on that appeal. So the appeal was brought by the government. The government appealed against our side, against the win that we had been given, and the appeal court has now reversed the decisions that were made by Judge Mehta and Judge Chutkan and so on, meaning that we have lost the cases on DV2020 and DV2021. I think many of you have probably already seen that on Twitter and so on, and perhaps in other forums. Some of you may have seen Curtis Morrison's live discussion about this earlier on today. I believe the Impact team are going to be discussing this as well. But I thought I would just do a quick live session. I'm not planning to be on very long, but just to sort of confirm what I've understood and what I've read from the order that has gone against us. So DV2020 is dead, as far as I'm concerned. DV2021 is dead, as far as I'm concerned. The appeals are very strongly worded against us, I have to say. There seems to be no ambiguity in the appeal court's decision. I don't see any ambiguity in there at all. It's for the lawyers to say whether they would appeal this, so whether they would appeal this decision again. I don't know what they're going to say. I have to say, just reading through the decision, it just doesn't seem likely that there is much to appeal there. The decision is very clear. I'll give you some of the wording that just seems very, very clear here. This is the summary at the end of the decision that I'm going to read to you here, and let me make that bigger. And you can read for yourselves. It says, once fiscal years 2020 and 2021 ended, the plaintiffs lost their eligibility for diversity visas. The district courts erred in asserting an equitable authority to override these cases, clear statutory deadlines, which foreclosed the prospective relief sought in these cases. Accordingly, we reverse the remedial orders challenged by the government, reject the go cross appeal, and remand the cases with instructions to enter judgment for the government. It's very, very clear-cut decision. There's some terminology in here, some legalese that you may be interested in reading, but there's nothing sort of nothing in this decision that is arguable from the point of view of saying, oh well, there's some ambiguity there. I don't think there's any ambiguity. Let me just see if there's any sort of questions that people have. One question that was sort of pointed out earlier is, in DV2020, there were cases issued between September 4th and September 30th. There were visas issued to a lot of people. Several thousand people were issued in that time period. That's because of the lawsuit that is called the Gomez lawsuit. The Gomez lawsuit achieved that. And several thousand people got those visas and will have entered the USA already. Those people have got nothing to worry about. They were issued visas properly. That was part of the court case that has been appealed and so on. But this appeal and this decision relates to whether we have any right for issuance of any visas after the end of the fiscal year in each year. And basically, the court has said, no, you're not entitled to those visas after the end of the year. You can't, the court has no authority to order that. That's what the appeal says, or the appeal decision says. I don't agree with it. I don't think the lawyers agree with it. But nevertheless, this is the decision of the appeals court. So I'm not going to take a bunch of DV25 and DV24 questions. I just want to focus on DV2020 if there are any questions about that. So Lensa, you were asking, this is a sad day, frankly, for anyone that's been waiting for, a couple of years now, and 3 or 4 years since people, were expecting to process their DV cases in 2021 and 2020. Those people have got bad news today, and I'm very sorry for for that news that those people are receiving. Watch out for the Impact team to do a live session. So that's Charles Cook and Jesse Bless. As I mentioned earlier, Curtis has already gone through the decision on a live session earlier this morning. So you can look up his YouTube channel and you can replay that if you're interested in seeing that. But yeah, those things are done and dusted. Raman is asking, what about those that got visas but were unable to travel? Those people have got no chance now either. We're talking about quite a long past due date, right? So there was a time period where people that hadn't traveled but had a valid visa could have had could have entered, basically, and they could have had their visa reissued within the time period up to September 30th. But what this judgment means is after September 30th, that visa couldn't be reissued. And so if somebody didn't take the opportunity to travel, then I don't believe there's anything that can be done. Feel free to ask one of the lawyers. I'm not a lawyer. So feel free to ask them if they feel that there's anything that can be done. But in my opinion, those cases also died today. The chances for those people also died today, in my opinion. And I could be wrong. I'm not a lawyer, but that's my understanding. Okay. Let's see. Just seeing if there's any. I'm literally just ignoring 25 and 24 questions, just ignoring them. So there's no point in asking me those. Okay. Yeah, no, there's a bunch of other questions, but I'm not seeing anything else related to DV 2020 and 21. Not seeing any other questions about that. I guess it's probably clear. Yeah, so to all the people asking other questions, if you've got questions, oh, here we go. If you've got questions on any other topic, feel free to ask me on BritSimonSays.com and I'll look at those questions there. So BritSimonSays.com. I'm not going to take any other questions today on DV24 or DV25 or general other topics. This video is only going to be about DV2020 and DV21. The last decision of DV2020, I think that they give 9,000 visas. Yeah, it was 9,095. Those visas were held open for later issuance. That was not the visas issued between September 4th and September 30th. The 9,000 was held over for later issuance, and those are the visas that have now gone. We can't have those issued now. So that's about it. Yeah, and this includes DV 2021 Go. The Go decision has gone the same way as well. Dr. Miriam said this was a relatively fast decision. I expected this to take longer than this. Crikey, I've been amazed how slow it's gone. it's been a long time. I mean, it was September 18 months ago now, September 22, when they had the appeal. And if you read the decision, by the way, the decision says pretty much what it says is the end of the year is the end of the year. The end of the, that's just very, very simple. I mean, it's as simple as that. There's a lot of text in here that says all sorts of things, but the real reason that they're killing this appeal, that they're denying us our win, is because the fiscal year deadline is the deadline, and so the deadline is the deadline, is what they're saying. It took them 18 months to come up with the answer of the deadline is the deadline. Yeah, I don't think that's fast. I think that's a pretty slow timeline to come up with what they're expressing here as a simple point. We didn't think that point was that simple, obviously, but that's what they're saying, right? How can I ask questions on your website? You go to britsimonsays.com, and there's one of those pages. You can ask questions on pretty much any article, but there is one article that says ask questions here. So you go on that article, you scroll down, and you can ask a question there. And I will answer those questions, I promise. Okay, seeing a bunch of people. Jane, Jane, I remember your name. Oh, well, I'm sorry, Jane. That's it sucks. Joni is still spamming this all over the place, even though I said very clearly I'm not going to answer that question. So there you go. Joni, you only need to ask that question one more time, and that's at britsimonsays.com. Vera says it's a sad end. Yes, I agree. It is a sad end. It's very sad. I'm frankly very sad about it. I really felt this appeal was going to go our way, I have to say. I've been feeling more and more confident about that as time went on, because, for them to make this decision to say a deadline is a deadline, I don't know why they couldn't have said that 18 months ago. And also, it's not like only one judge. I mean, they said that the courts erred. What they mean when they say the court erred is that Judge Mehta, who is a very senior federal judge, made a mistake. Judge Chutkin made a mistake. That's what they're saying. And that they didn't have the authority to make the decision that they made. Well, that's pretty bold language. That they don't make that sort of statement lightly, right? Especially not to very senior judges such as Judge Mehta, that has got a lot of credibility. So I don't think they've made this decision lightly. But the wording of the decision is extremely simplistic in a sense, basically saying the deadline is the deadline. So I don't know. It does seem kind of bizarre and odd to me. Oh, I've got my sunglasses on rather than my light glasses. You can't even see my eyes. So anyway, all right. Let me just check. So no more about DV2020. No, it's over. DV2020 is over, unless if the lawyers see it differently, if Curtis or the impact team, Jesse Bless or Charles Cook, if any of them see that they want to challenge this decision, they can appeal again. But honestly, they would probably be looking for something that they could disagree with in this appeal decision. And I just don't think I think the appeal has been written in such a way that it's just very, very clear cut. So I don't know. I haven't spoken to the lawyers yet, but yeah, I don't see how this could be further appealed, further discussed. So yeah, people joining now, please. 2020, no, it's over. It's DV2020 is over. So that's it. I'm disappointed. They shouldn't have taken that long. I agree with you. It's very, very sad. It's very sad to people that are finding out this news. Very sad. Anyway, All right, everybody. I think that's probably all I need to say. I think that this video probably didn't even need to be the 15 minutes it already took. I could probably have delivered this video in 2 minutes and just said that. So I'll close the video now. I'll leave you. If you have any questions that you want to ask, feel free to ask them at britsimonsays.com. If you want to read the appeal, it's in the YouTube description below this video. I've linked to that. I've also got an article I posted a couple of hours ago on my blog at britsimonsays.com. All right, so okay, everybody. Thanks, Ed. Bye-bye.